When was the last time you had a coffee date? When was the last time you had a walk with a friend? When's the last time you had a really good conversation with someone? Hello, my name is Lindsay Guichard, and I'm an online licensed marriage and family therapist and the creator of thetravelingtherapist.com. All of the things that I just described can be done either in someone's physical presence or they could be done on Zoom. If you are not used to filling out your social calendar, and this is electronically, let's get these 3 activities down on your calendar. I have been meeting clients on a HIPAA compliant video chat, and when I meet my friends, I meet them on Zoom, and when I can, I meet them in person. This week's video is about focusing on the next 3 people we are going to meet, either on Zoom or on Google Meet or in person. Here are some things that should not be present when you are connecting with people you haven't seen in a long time. If you're meeting in person, make sure to put your phone in your back pocket or in your purse. Make sure it's nowhere near you unless you pull it out at the end of the time to reschedule your next time together. A great rule of thumb, I tend not to leave a Zoom call or a physical meeting without taking out my electronic calendar to see when we can do this again. Even if it's once a year that we're going to meet up, it's best for me to not forget, and by the end of our time together, I will be whipping out my calendar and we will be scheduling the next time we can see each other. One of the things that I've been noticing by watching older movies is that if you can't find something to say, it's very good to start to break the ice with asking about the weather or the state of the roads. And so in that vein, when you first start your connection time, if it's been a while, there's something that I do on a regular basis that kind of gets the conversation going, and I wanted to share that with you here. It's something that I like to call pits and peaks. And so what we talk about is if we find that we're having trouble coming up with things to say, which sometimes that just happens, what we do is we take turns and we ask each other what have been our pits. So things that we don't like or that we haven't enjoyed since our last time together. And what are our peaks, things that we have really enjoyed since we last saw each other. And this usually starts up conversations that go down different topics, and lo and behold, half an hour to 45 minutes to an hour has passed, and you find yourself saying, oh my gosh, like I can't believe where time has gone, and would you like to do this again sometime? And basically my rule of thumb before we get off the call or before we leave the park or whatever it is that we're doing, I like to just say, I like to put it in the calendar when we're going to be meeting again. And as we spend a lot of time in our homes, the habits that we had established to keep relationships with each other can't really happen unless we are way more intentional. And so I like to reach out to people if you're nervous about doing that. One of the ways I do that is through a text message, and I just say, hey, I was thinking about you the other day. Is there any time that you have to, it depends on, if the friend is local or if they're not, or if they're not seeing anybody. So whatever the conditions are, like, hey, I haven't seen you in a while. Are you available next week for a walk? Or are you available next week for a Zoom call or a Google Meet call, or however it is, and maybe it's FaceTime. however it is, and you just kind of let it lie. And if the person is available, they'll get back to you. The reason I bring this up is social anxiety is a thing that I struggle with, and it's a thing that I believe a lot of us are struggling with, or if we didn't struggle before, we might be struggling now. I used to be a big fan of the movie What About Bob? And in What About Bob, the psychiatrist that he's seeing became famous for this phrase, baby steps. I love that phrase, and I love it for when my anxiety and my social anxiety is kicking up, is how can I break this down into a baby step where I don't have to fret about any sort of results of anything, where I can just kind of break it down and do one baby step at a time. And so when I am talking to a client, I'm talking to them about how can we break this down into a bit like a ball that we're just throwing. Sometimes we use the tennis metaphor, or we use the throwing catch. If I'm sending a text message to you about hanging out, I throw it. And I don't need to worry about the result because I've already thrown the ball. If you have thrown a ball and it hasn't been received, I'm a big believer in congratulating yourself for that act of throwing the ball. And so we actually bring that back a step further. We can commit to throwing 3 to 5 balls a week, and whatever that looks like, if that looks like a text to a family member, if that looks like a text to a friend, we are not worried about the result. We're not worried about the text back that we receive. If this video has been helpful, please consider subscribing and liking and commenting down below. And with that comment, talk about 3 to 5 different balls that you are going to throw this week in terms of getting your social calendar filled for this next week. All right. I'll see you next time. Bye.